What's happening, guys? Happy Labor Day weekend to you, coming to you from the DWZ Fantasy Sports Studios here on the mean streets of Indianapolis. It is your boy, Memphis, one of the co hosts of the Dynasty Warzone and the fabulous Big Bet. So, what are we doing here? This is exactly what we've been talking about on the podcast. There are going to be times when we just go live to cover breaking news. Now, I love the podcast. I love the Dynasty Warzone. I love the fabulous Big Bet. I love the Debbie Show. But sometimes in the podcast world, we're giving you guys yesterday's news, 2 days later. And it doesn't always translate. You can't always react in the moment. So that's going to be the point of this. This little series that I'll be doing will be called A Few Dynasty Minutes with Memphis. Today, we're going to talk about Antonio Gibson. You'll also see shows from my boy, Matty Big Chest. You'll see shows from Dr. Kyle. We'll get Jerry sprinkled in there. Now, Jerry is working on becoming a professional, and we love that man. So he's probably the busiest of the Dynasty Warzone crew, but you got to review, you got to subscribe, and you got to turn those notifications on here on YouTube. That way, when something pops off, you don't miss it. And at least if you're subscribed, I can kind of get the notifications. You should have the notifications on just the same. But if you're subscribed, you will not miss a video. We may be doing anywhere from 4 to 6, 8 of these a week. You never really know when you add in the live streams of the podcast. So what are we covering today? Well, first of all, yes, I am wearing a Hulkamania t-shirt. Yes, as a little fella, I was a Hulkamaniac. And this past winter, before COVID hit, my family and we went to, I guess, the Tampa area. I forget the name of it, Clearwater Beach. And we were like, what's it do in this town? Someone said, you got to go down to Hulk Hogan's beach shop. And I was like, excuse me? What did you just say? They were like, Hulk Hogan's got a beach shop here in Clearwater. And I'm like, let's go. So we walked down. I walked out with this sweet, sweet OD green Hulkamania shirt, brother, in the red, white, and blue. So let's jump into this. Let's talk about Antonio Gibson. Let's spend a few dynasty minutes on Antonio Gibson. What are we doing? By far the most polarizing, hottest name in the dynasty game right now is Antonio Gibson. And it's not cut and dry. I've seen a lot of analysts out there. They say that you need to trade him. You need to sell him, cash out now while the cashing is good. And I've heard others say that you need to hold on to him because he's the next David Johnson from 2016, not the current David Johnson, because we're not super fans of that in Dynasty. So let's talk about Antonio Gibson, because you got to look at this based on where your team is and your personality and your level of risk. If you've ever worked with a financial consultant, whether that be for your personal gain, your family, whatever, they have you do a risk tolerance thing. I don't know, I forget the exact name, like a test or an analysis, if you will. The term escapes me currently. And they will determine how much risk you as a person are willing to tolerate. And that's what you have to ask yourself. So a lot of us, I can talk about the Antonio Gibson shares that I have. I have like 2 or 3, and I got most of them in the late second, early third round. So for me to be able to cash out on a prospect that is hyper athletic. I've heard people compare him from a physical standpoint to the combine measurables of a Jonathan Taylor. That to cash out, even though he is an amazing athlete for a first round pick, it's the old bird in the hand. Bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, as they say. So if you got this guy for a late second, early third, then you could easily just go, yep, give me that first round pick. It's only going to accrue value, and I'm going to go. I think that's a great route to go if you're not a contender. I have an Antonio Gibson share on a roster just like this. I've got a lot of good pieces on this team, but I really want elite running back. So moves that I'm doing, I already put it out in the group chat. Hey, Antonio Gibson, completely available on the market. Who wants to win this league? Because Antonio Gibson can be anything. He could revert back to a pumpkin, or he could go on to have a couple of nice years in the NFL. But I need solid draft capital. I need proven assets on this team for me to continue to grow. So I will see what I can do with that share there. I would rather have a first would prefer it to be like a team in the middle that I could see if luck falls bad on them, that they could wind up with a bad season. The next level of owner is the contender. Now, the contender is probably the person who would be most likely to want to hang on to their shares and gamble a little bit. Because if you're a contender, unless you're super deep at the running back position, the 2020 season, because the running back position, as you know, is filled with injuries, poor play, running backs get benched, and Antonio Gibson could certainly be the depth that you need to win a championship. And you could double that if he pops off and has the great rookie year that we could possibly see. So I do not blame you if you want to hang on to him and make him a part of your regular roster. And then there are teams in the middle, and that's the hardest one. Man, it's like, man, if this guy hits, I could be a contender. I could contend this year if Antonio Gibson does what he does. But that, going back to the risk tolerance that I talked about earlier, that's got to be up to you. Because if for some reason he does not live up to that, you're going to look back to yourself similar to a couple of years ago with Damian Williams. Damian Williams came on late after the Kareem Hunt suspension in Kansas City, and he had a great late run, and people were debating, hey, do we keep him? Do we trade him? What do we do with Damian Williams? And this is very, very much similar to that. So you just have to ask yourself, what is your risk tolerance? What does your roster look like? And where do I think this guy's going to be in a year from now, 2 years from now? And more importantly, don't forget the move of being able to take Antonio Gibson, and being able to add, something to him to get something that you really like in return. Can you take him, a fellow rookie, add a 2021 second to him and get a DeAndre Swift, a Cam Akers, someone like that, someone with more draft capital, or someone that you just really, really like better with a better pedigree? It's totally possible. I saw a Twitter poll the other day where someone traded Antonio Gibson straight up for DeAndre Swift. They're out there, guys. And as much as I like Antonio Gibson, and to be real honest, I really like their offensive coordinator. I like Scott Turner a bunch. I saw what Scott Turner did last year with Christian McCaffrey, because I've used that narrative to talk about how much I like Terry McLaurin, after the way that Scott Turner used DJ Moore last year. So there are pros and cons of this move. Me personally, I have one team, like I said, where I'm looking to move Antonio Gibson, and I have another one where I'm totally going to hold, because I am expecting to do well in this league, and I want the running back depth. But if you're not, and you're not sure where your roster is, you can hit me up on Twitter at DWZ Memphis. You can hit me up on Instagram at Dynasty Warzone, or if you avoid the world of social media, good for you. You can hit me up on Gmail. It's dynastywarzone at gmail.com. You will see a lot more of these. The quality will certainly get better. We've been doing the live broadcast on the show feed on the podcast on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but you'll see a lot more of these. Again, you'll see my boy Matty Big Chest. You'll see my boy Kyle. You'll see Jerry. You'll see a lot of the Dynasty Warzone family. And you'll start to hear the rebranding, or the terminology, the DWZ Fantasy Sports Network, because we're doing Dynasty, we're doing gambling, we're adding a little DFS, and our team is growing. You will be able to. I've talked to Tyler Gunther of the Dynasty Happy Hour. I don't ever foresee us having a website here for the DWZ, but next year I've already partnered with Tyler, and you will find Kyle, mine, and Jerry's rankings over at the Dynasty Happy Hour for 2021. That'll be for rookies and startups. Don't have time this late in the season to get all that put together. My rookie rankings, it's been a while since I've updated them, guys, truly, but they are still over at the Dynasty Happy Hour. You need to go over there and subscribe to their website so you can have access to that. Again, if you need me, at DWZ Memphis on Twitter is your best shot, and then at Dynasty Warzone on Instagram is your second best shot. Subscribe, leave notifications on, and you won't miss videos like this. Hope this helps. This was a Few Dynasty Minutes with Memphis, and we'll see you soon.